Hey you. Me? Yeah, you. Have you ever wanted to be a businessman? That's my wildest dreams, but I'm just a kid with a bunch of weird reptiles and really low self-esteem. You're in luck, because that's the two things you need in order to follow my advice to be a good businessman. What? Right, folks, old Dakota here is gonna teach you how to be a successful businessman as long as you follow all the steps in this video. Purchase my monthly subscription class that costs $99.99 a month, taxes and fees to apply. You too can be the next, Jeff Bezos of reptiles. Yeah, why not? First, old Dakota's gotta tell you a little story about a kid, some eyeliner, and a big dream. So stick around, you have a chance to win $1 billion, and subscribe if you're new for no reason whatsoever. Let's get into it. Now this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down. For all you cool cats and kittens that are following the DBCB Exotics lore, my door no longer is on a handle. It's on the bottom, just not the top, so it does this now. Now at this point, you guys must be thinking to yourselves, Dakota, there's no way just anybody can start a reptile business. You must have had a huge amount of help. This must be just another Trump story of a small loan of $1 million. Truth of the matter is, the only thing my parents gave me is genetically multiple mental disorders and irritable bowel syndrome. Thanks, Mom and Dad. So it's at this point I can assure you that absolutely everyone can do it. You don't need very much special skills or talents. I didn't really have any of that, and here I am. I kind of feel like I just stumbled in on this. In order to better help me understanding on how I came across this career choice and to help you get the path to success, let's talk about the lore of DBCB Exotics. Now this whole adventure started with this little gecko right here. This is Xena. She's a tiger super doll. I spent $60 on this gecko. I know. What a steal. However, I couldn't just start breeding crested geckos with only a female gecko. That's impossible. But wait, Dakota, what about parthenogenesis? Oh, you got me there, other Dakota, but that's not what happened, so just shut up a little bit and let me get on with the story. At that point that I knew my destiny was to start DBCB Exotics, and I was gonna do it with crested geckos for really no rhyme or reason. I just decided crested geckos were the thing I was gonna do. So that's when I set out on the grand journey to find myself the ultimate male, and that's when I found him, Spots. Spots is a really cool gecko, and I got him for actually a really good price. It was an adult proven breeder male going for $180 at my local New England Expo. I know a lot of you guys are thinking, wow, that is a really good deal, and I'm still to this day don't understand why. Great structure, decent amount of spots. I guess the color's not that good, but it produces great babies, and it was a proven adult male. $180 was a really weird price, but crested gecko prices are also really weird. You see the breeders that take it seriously, and you'll get similar geckos for $500, $600, $700, $800, which is what I think they should be priced at. And then you get other people that are like, it's a gecko, 20 bucks, and it's just the weirdest market I've ever been into with reptiles. We take that, this project started with a grand total of like $200, maybe a little bit more. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit off with my math. I think it's like $250, $260 with enclosures. This video is not an in-depth guide. That's what I did. At the time, that was like 80% of the paycheck at the job I was doing at the time, so I invested a lot in this business, comparatively speaking, to the money I was making. And it was at that point we started DBCB Exotic, with 2 geckos going in, making babies, and then boom, we have all of this. Wow, what an incredible upbringing story. Alright, you guys want me in a little more detail, I understand. Okay, let's get into the timeline of what went further into the progression of this. While we were working with the Crested Gecko project that year and making babies, Renee really wanted a Tokay gecko. God forbids, I don't know why, at the time I thought Tokay geckos were awful animals. But hey, she wanted one, and when your wife wants a reptile, you go get that reptile, because that means you can get more reptiles. So we got a Tokay gecko. Now, the public story is, I fell in love with the species, for so many reasons, like their intelligence and parental instincts and how they're misunderstood. But here's what really happened. Funny enough, the same day we actually got those Tokay geckos, I was bit by one, and just like Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, the only good Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire, I got bit by a radioactive Tokay gecko. or whatever that storyline is. Instead of gaining powers like a spider being able to shoot webs and climb walls, I got the special power of borderline personality disorder, and now just like the Tokay gecko, I am angry and yelling all the time. At that point in time, when I was no longer man, but part man and part gecko, I knew I had to get my army of fellow brethren and sisterin into the homes of everyone nationwide. It was through the power of propaganda via YouTube videos I was able to complete that goal, and now we have I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. The gist of the matter is, I really do like Tokay geckos. That story was made up. I don't want the conspiracies to run too high, so I'll stay to a satire before things get a little too out of hand. Really like Tokay geckos. I thought it was a good business opportunity just because of the fact that at the time, I really got in Tokay geckos at the right time. Morphs were still relatively cheap. They were just starting to get higher as the market started forming with Tokay geckos. So I got a few mutations while it was still cheap. I got a few imports before CITES came in. Now it's a little bit more difficult to get imported Tokay geckos, and it's a lot more expensive to get mutations. So I kind of wish I expanded more with Tokay geckos before the market really started hitting with them, but I'm happy with my collection, and I kind of became known as the Tokay gecko guy. That's what a lot of you guys know me for. Not many people talk about Tokay geckos. I think Reptilians is the only other guy that really focuses a lot on it, so I was the Tokay guy, and so at this point we made Tokay geckos and we made crested geckos. If you're really into the lore of DBCB Exotics, you'll know about all the weird offshoot projects that we tried to start up but then just kind of didn't do anything with. We had mountain horn lizards for like a second, and a lot of stuff happened and didn't really work out too well. I did Mexican black king snakes like 1 year, and I got not a good egg collection, so I sold them immediately and got a super red Tokay instead. There's stuff like that. I'm not really going to talk too much about that, but I think the gist of the matter is, you know, once you're starting up a reptile business, you're going to have a lot of failures, a lot more failures than you are going to have success, at least in my personal experience. The big thing is just persevering through that and adapting and evolving as it comes, because if I were to stick with those reptiles, I probably wouldn't have been as successful. So it's a good point. You got to have a common sense of, you know, what's a liability and what's an asset in your business. What breeding projects are making you money and continuing on with your career choice, and what projects maybe are holding you back and could be liquefied. But I don't mean like literally liquefy, don't boil them, but instead sell the project to upgrade your other projects that are making you money. Don't boil your reptiles. On to more years. I started making more crested geckos, making more Tokay babies. I was selling those babies and immediately putting that profit back into the business. There's been a very short, I don't think actually I've ever taken money from DBCB Exotics in of itself. I'll take money through YouTube, Patreon, merch in order to pay some bills or get cooler enclosures with stuff like that, depending on what revenue stream I'm talking about. But when it comes to the actual business, I've never actually taken money out. I immediately invest it right back in. And so that's what we did through the years. We got more Tokay geckos. We got more crested geckos, we got Cookie, a bunch of crested geckos, that's kind of what I'm getting at. And then we've kind of started evolving and moving towards gargoyle geckos, because I think gargoyle geckos are just the cooler gecko of crested geckos. So now we've started with that. We've got a couple of females, we got a red base, red stripe, we got a yellow base, we got a couple more yellow gals coming in, we've got some holdbacks going on, and then I made the ultimate mistake. And guys, gentlemen and ladies, but mostly gentlemen. It's about an 80-20 split of my demographic. So this one's for the boys and some for the girls. The biggest mistake you can ever make with breeding reptiles, and by God, never make this mistake, that is going with ball pythons. Just, I know what you're thinking. You're gonna be the next Brian Barczyk, the next Justin Kabelika. You're not. You're not. There's like 15,000 people breeding ball pythons. You think, no, just don't do it. Dakota, a lot of people breed crested geckos too. What makes the difference between that and this? I don't know. I don't script these things. I literally think something in my head and I say it out loud. It got me this far. It was at that point we made the mistake of going with ball pythons. There used to be a really big rack system in here. I invested probably $5,000. Oh my god. I invested a lot of money in ball pythons, and we did one ball python breeding year, and I never sold a baby. As DVCB Exotics, I never once sold a baby to anybody. Luckily, my local pet store took them for like 40 bucks a pop. But Literally nobody, not a soul, wanted my ball pythons. And it was at that point I realized, Dakota, you messed up. What did we talk about before? Persevere, overcome, evolve, and drink your own pee. Or what's that guy? There's a joke there. But I don't know the reference material, so it kind of just, it doesn't hit as hard. Something you guys can do to give you kind of a head start on all of this is the fact that you should probably pick out a niche in what your business wants to be. At this point, we did a lot of stuff, a lot of weird stuff, and we kept bouncing back and forth. Crested geckos, Tokay geckos, mountain horn lizards, Mexican black king snakes, crocodile skinks, ball pythons, gargoyle geckos. There's just like a lot of weird stuff, and everything was like jumbled, and it's really strange going to a business and seeing like all these different tier list things, and there's only like 3 or 4 of them between each species. It doesn't work very well. So I think another pro tip from a pro breeder that tip is going to be niche down, figure out what you really want to do with the business itself. You don't have to stick with just one specific animal like crested geckos, like gargoyle geckos, like tokays, but kind of stick it to a similarity. And it was at that point I finally made the realization after that awful, god-awful ball python year that I kind of wanted to stick with the niche with going with geckos and large lizards, because those are my 2 biggest passions right now, and I kind of wanted to show that within the business itself. By the graces of the gods, I was able to sell all of those ball pythons, take a huge loss, and redistribute that money into this wall right here. We've got geckos, folks. We've got standing-eyed geckos. We've got Madagascan giant days. We've got chahuas. We've got crimson line day geckos. We've got a lot of geckos, and they've been doing very well, and now the business just makes more sense doing mostly geckos with some large lizards on top of that instead of like 18 different things at once. And now we're here. That's what we did. I'm sure you guys got just so much information out of this video. I'm sure. Just the amount of what I'm trying to get at is we bred geckos, we had success, we had failures, we persevered, we devolved and evolved, and now we are where we are today, and we're doing great things over here, fantastic things. These are the most amazing things that you will ever come to buy. We're doing things that no one else can even think about doing those things. You gotta cut it out with the Trump speech. People are gonna get that wrong idea. They're gonna think you actually took that loan of $1 million from your dad. We're trying to make sure people don't know that you did that. Right, okay. Geckos. Remember, folks, as long as you follow this step-by-step guide on how to make a business into a business, you too can be living in this lap of luxury like I am as well. How am I gonna fix this? 2 things everyone must be asking yourself at this point is, number 1, Dakota, you didn't teach us anything. This is by far the worst business advice I've ever heard in my entire life. I can't believe I wasted the 10 to 12 minutes this video is. If I could get that life back, I would immediately ask for a refund from you. Stated in terms and conditions, refunds are not applicable. First come, first served, and sales are final. Second question has to be, okay, Dakota, you did mention we had a chance to win $1 billion if we sat through this pile of crap, so how do we win that $1 billion that you talked about? Because you do know that if you say you have a chance to win something and then don't say it, that it is illegal and you could get banned from YouTube and go to jail. We obviously didn't try to pull any fast ones over here, so I'll tell you guys exactly how to win the money, because obviously we have it here, and that's whoa, what's that over there?